Welcome to the 22nd edition of the Tempo Storm Shadowverse Meta Snapshot. The mini expansion for Eternal Awakening has been released, and with it, a set of really powerful cards that synergize well with current archetypes have made their way into the meta. Notably, the most influential cards of the mini expansion are Smile Cure Priest for Sanctuary Haven, Bone Maven for Shadowcraft decks, and Tiamat Omega, a card that further empowers the Roost Boon archetype. We will explore each of those decks in the featured deck section later on. The rest of the mini expansion is littered with support for future archetypes. Alistair, for example, supports the 20 or less cards effect found in other Runecraft cards. Frigg, similarly, is a powerful enabler for Amulet Haven. While neither archetypes are played in the current meta, there is a fair chance that these cards may give hints as to what awaits us in the future. The bag holder of the mini expansion is undoubtedly Spell Boost Rune. While there was a short squeeze in its popularity after the January balance patch, Spell Boost Rune did not gain any support in the mini expansion, while its peers have embraced the new additions. This drops the deck's rating from near the top of Tier 1 to the very bottom of Tier 2. With its key cards due for rotation at the end of the month, Spell Boost Rune may not return as we know it for the past year. Before we continue with this month's Shadowverse Meta Snapshot, remember to like and subscribe to our Tempo Strategy YouTube channel for the latest decks and strategy content. With the addition of Bone Maven in the mini expansion, Grummery Shadow has branched out into two similar, yet somewhat distinct archetypes, Deathbringer Shadow and Rally Shadow. Deathbringer Shadow utilizes tools such as Deathbringer and Path to Perdition. This deck is the more controlling of the two, so it does not apply much pressure in the early to mid game, but has more ways to deal with strong boards. Deathbringer Shadow also has an even set of matchups against most meta decks and no real weaknesses, reigning as the top deck of Tier 1 in this meta snapshot. Check out Noir's guide on Deathbringer Shadow in the Shadowverse section of the website for a complete guide to this top of Tier 1 deck. Rally Shadow comes in as a close second. While Rally Shadow is unfavored against Loxus Forest and Bike Dragon, the deck is much more favorable against Sanctuary Haven when compared to its sibling, thanks to tools such as Ruinblade Reaper and Milteo's enhancement effect. As the deck can now develop a stronger board earlier compared to before the mini expansion, its matchup against Loxus Forest is no longer as unfavored as before. Loxus Forest remains a Tier 1 deck after the mini expansion, though it has to contend with more powerful variants of Shadow, Haven, and even Dragon on the latter. Alberta Autumn Blade has found its way into most Loxus lists as a 2-off. While tricky to use and a poor tempo play early on, she enables more powerful Loxus turns later on and can even help to achieve an OTK against particularly slow decks like Sanctuary Haven. Sanctuary Haven received a significant boost in the form of Smile Cure Priest, a card that is designed to support the additional effect when healing strategy. Smile Cure Priest puts a hard stop on aggressive decks such as Bike Dragon and Ball Blood, and helps a lot with the deck's mid-range game plan where it can develop even bigger boards on turns 6 to 7 using multiple Holy Sanctuary triggers. Despite the power boost, the deck struggles against Rally Shadow and Roost Dragon, as those decks have ways to counter Sanctuary Haven's game plan directly. Phoenix Roost-based decks have always been considered a meme, occasionally showing up in the Tier 4 section of our meta snapshots. Tiamat Omega single-handedly rocketed the deck from Tier 4 to Tier 1 in the mini expansion. A single copy of Gargouille, essentially a mini Zeus, is also included, but lacks in power compared to other heavy hitters in the deck. The deck has favorable matchups against most meta decks, with the exception of Loxus Forest and Bike Dragon, both of which can use the Phoenix Roost against the Roost Dragon player with great efficiency. This month's deck recommendation are Roost Dragon and Rally Shadow. Roost Dragon is easy to pick up, but has interesting decisions in the late game when managing resources. It is insanely fun to play and the matchup spread is pretty good, although the Phoenix Roost effect may just accelerate your own doom when matched up against a Bike Dragon player. Similarly, Rally Shadow is also pretty easy to play with a great matchup spread and is one of the most consistent decks in rotation. Deathbringer Shadow is a great alternative for those who are willing to sacrifice some consistency and play a more complex archetype. Having two similar Shadow decks with a similar set of core cards but slightly different strengths and weaknesses can sometimes throw your opponent off guard on ladder, as they may not be able to tell which Shadow deck they are playing against. In conclusion, the Tier 1 decks once again form a cyclical relationship where Loxus beats Rally Shadow beats Sanctuary, and Sanctuary beats Loxus. Deathbringer adds a level of complexity where the Shadow deck can be the one that beats Loxus, but with worse odds against Sanctuary. Roost Dragon may gain in popularity due to its favorable matchups against Rally Shadow and Sanctuary Haven, but is kept in check by Loxus Forest and Bike Dragon. As we are in the relatively early stages of the post-mini expansion period, players are mainly converging onto the more powerful archetypes. Therefore, for this meta snapshot, there is a noticeable lack of Tier 4 decks. However, no significant changes changes are expected in the meta this month. We may end up seeing a drop in the play rates of decks in the lower half of Tier 2 as their current win rate against higher tier decks leaves much to be desired. Keep an eye on the development of Evolve Portal in the coming weeks, as the deck has a lot of room for refinement and is naturally favored against Sanctuary Haven. All eyes are on the rotation of the Ultimate Colosseum expansion at the end of the month. We will be losing a large set of powerful cards such as Yukari, Kagemitsu, Dark Prison Dragon, Kuan, and many more. These cards are essential to existing archetypes, and this rotation is likely going to completely shake up the metagame in the next expansion. For those who are tired of getting slammed in the face by Dark Prison Dragon or stuck in 20-minute matches because of Yukari, the next expansion will certainly be something to look forward to. Check out the Shadowverse section on our website regularly this month because you will not want to miss our exclusive card reveals and analytical content. See you next month in the new expansion.